and welcome back to the channel. It's true, my name is Norf, and this week I'm going to show you how to crowbar a 30-minute presentation into just 10 minutes. So, as is customary, strap yourselves in and let's get started. Before we begin, we will first set the scene. You've begun at the end. You've started to craft your presentation knowing precisely what's going to go into it. You've practiced, you know the time that's allotted, and you're finishing your presentation with about 30 seconds to spare. You then jump into the car, concentrating all the way to get to your destination. You finally arrive at your destination. You park your car. You make your way to reception, sign in, and take the elevator to the boardroom. When you arrive, a sea of faces greets you. You're surrounded by the C-level executives and their senior leadership team. You know exactly how much time you've got. You plug in your laptop, you grab your clicker. All of a sudden you see one of the delegates around the table do this. And then they say to you, "I've got 10 minutes before my next meeting. Can you tell me everything that you're going to present inside 10 minutes?" You can get started now. You're given these 10 minutes to present, and sweat starts to bead on your brow. Your stomach starts to rotate and moves into a tailspin. Your heart rate elevates, and your life starts to flash before your very eyes. What do? Fear sets in. What happens now? That situation is a thing. It is a real thing in some corporate companies. Thank you very much to my friend Kevin for bringing this to light, because I wanted to share this with you. This has happened to me a number of times as well. There is a great phrase that I love, which is, you can't squeeze 10 pounds worth of stuff into a 5-pound bag. And that's precisely what will happen to a 30-minute presentation if you've got to squeeze it into just 10 minutes. It will not fit. It doesn't matter what you do, you cannot crowbar 30 minutes worth of presentation delivery into just 10. But this is where practice comes in. There are just two major things that I want to call out in this video. And the first thing is not to panic. Do not panic. Remember, we can all smell panic, and it's really not good. And this is where the second point kicks in, and this is where you're going to rely on the preparation that you've done beforehand. Tell me you've prepared. Please tell me that you've prepared for this very important presentation. If you haven't prepared, pause this video, go up here and have a look at that video, because in there are my top tips to ensure that you can be prepared for any presentation, be it in person or online. No, pause the video now, go have a look at that. If you have prepared, you and I can continue, and this is where we're going to unpack 5 elements to ensure that you absolutely nail your cut short executive presentation. C-level executives, senior leaders, decision makers in corporate speak, people in suits, power dressers, if you will. These are the individuals that you're looking to convince with your 30-minute presentation, now crowbarred into 10. How do you do it? I am absolutely convinced that these execs don't do this just to wind you up or try to trip you up. But for them, time is super short, and if you can make maximum use of the time that you're allotted, that is going to go down really, really well in their books. And who knows, from that, you may well get what you're looking for. So here are my 5 things that you need to do to ensure that you can squeeze your 30-minute presentation into just 10. You may know that I'm a massive fan of great presentations, and this all starts with a mathematical expression that I've coined as P to the power 6. Proper preparation prevents poor PowerPoint presentations. It is that simple. The maximum amount of effort that you can put into preparing your presentation will ensure that if your presentation is 30 minutes, for example, and it gets cut down to 10, you can take out the high points to present to the senior leaders or the C-level executives or the decision makers, whoever they may be. Make sure that you know your content inside out. I'll give you 2 reasons why you need to know your content. If ever you are cross-examined or questioned on your content, you need to make sure that you've got it in the back of your mind. The second point is, if technology fails, and this has happened to me, I'll post a video up here of what happened to me in Sweden, but if technology fails on you, you need to be able to regale the audience with the content that you've already got in your mind and that you have practiced. Attached to knowing your content, know who's in the room, know who is online, and know their personas as well. So say, for example, if you've got a CIO in the room, which is a Chief Information Officer, as well as a CTO, a Chief Technology Officer, both of them will want different things. Point number 3 is being able to dance. Not to dance in the room, of course, because time's ticking and that's not quite the right place to be dancing. What I mean by that is being prepared to pivot. Because you know your content, you're able to move to certain points very, very quickly in the allotted time that you have been given. So be prepared to pivot and pivot very quickly. The fourth key point I want to share this week is about a CTA, and you know I love a good TLA. Norf, what's a CTA and what's a TLA? A CTA is a call to action. Ensure that you have squeezed everything that you want to talk about inside those 10 minutes, or at least the high points of which, and leave the executives, leave that room with a clear call to action. You know that I love the number 3, so leave that executive suite, leave that executive meeting with 3 calls to action, and then leave them with a mic drop moment. You could say something like, if we choose to do nothing, we will still continue. However, if we choose to do what I would love to explain to you at a further point, we could save X amount of pounds, or we could gain all of these customers. Those are key things that I guarantee senior leaders and C-level executives will want to hear. How will that make a difference to my business? How will that make a difference to my customers and our partners? And point number 5 is where P to the power 6, that mathematical expression, really does kick in. As you're practicing and you're refining, you're creating the story that you're looking to deliver in that high-powered meeting, be sure to create something called an executive summary. And I'll boil that down into one word, and that word is simply a synopsis. If you could squeeze your 30-minute presentation into just a 30-second elevator pitch, what would that synopsis look like? And that synopsis is the basis for your 10-minute presentation that you're going to deliver if your time's been cut short from 30 minutes, just as an example. When you've created your 30-minute presentation, always be sure to take out the headline story, the executive summary, and you should be able to commit that to memory during your practice phase. It is so important to have an executive summary up your sleeve just in case that happens and someone in your meeting says, I've got 10 minutes, tell me what I need to know. Your executive summary has to contain a really high power impact statement. What is that going to be? It may be something like, with the changes that I'm presenting to you today, we could save X amount of pounds or dollars or whatever currency it is. Or with the content that I was going to share today, we could gain X amount of customers from the competition. That is a really powerful basis for an impact statement. So be sure that your executive summary, certainly in your mind, as you're going to present it in the short allotted time that you've got, includes that impact statement right up front. Also in your 10-minute delivery, ensure that you are talking about the pain points. Because you've done your research, because you know who's in the audience and who their personas are, you're able to move towards ensuring that you can alleviate pain with the changes or the statement that you are going to talk about in your presentation. State clearly what happens if nothing is done. Also state very clearly what could be gained if the changes are made that you're going to propose. Be sure to include that mic drop moment inside your shortened amount of time. You want to create some level of intrigue where that team will want to get you back in the room to talk about the detail much, much more. So if you're ever caught in that situation where you've created a 30-minute presentation, that's what you know you're going to deliver, you walk into the room, you get yourself set up, and then you're told, you've got to squeeze this into 10 minutes, these are the things that we covered off in this week's video. Always be sure, first and foremost, don't panic. We can all smell panic. Then we looked at that mathematical expression, P to the power 6. Proper preparation prevents poor PowerPoint presentations. always be sure to prepare. Practice, refine. Practice, refine. The next thing we looked at was to know your content. Also with that, know your audience and know their personas. Consider what questions you think they may well ask and answer those in your 10-minute delivery. The next point we looked at was to be prepared to pivot. Because you know your content, because you know the audience and their persona, you can move to different points in your presentation because you practice it, and it's all up here. The next point we looked at was to always give calls to action, CTAs. And of course, you know a CTA is a TLA, which is a 3-letter acronym. And then the final point we looked at this week is always create an executive summary. Once you've built your presentation and you've practiced it and you've refined it, commit that executive summary to memory, just in case you have to deliver that elevator pitch if you're given 10 minutes to present. Do let me know in the comments below if you've had to squeeze a 30-minute presentation into a very short or an inordinate amount of time. Do drop a comment, I would love to hear. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time here. As you know, I'm a huge fan of the number 3, so if you would, please do 3 things for me. If you like the content, please do give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed, and also hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on when I upload brand new content to the channel. Again, thank you for choosing to spend your time here, and I'll see you next time.